welcome to the Video Store podcast. I am your host, Bol Sels, and today I welcome Andy Gathergood in our digital studio. He's known for many roles in famous films and TV shows like Peter Rabbit 2, His House, and The Death of Stalin. But Belgian viewers might know him from the British remake of Professor T, where he plays Paul Rabbit. Today we will be diving deep into cult classic Whitnail&I and the musical drama Cold War. Welcome, Andy.
Hello, Bo. How are you, mate? Good intro.
Good.
Hey, thanks for all that. Yeah.
Let's ignore that we've been talking for like half an hour already.
We have, yeah. We've pretty much done it all, to be fair. But yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's going to be fun. As I say, you might, as we mentioned like a couple of days ago on sort of messaging and stuff. You know, my knowledge of detail of films that I really like is not always great. I tend to watch a film and then I forget who the actors were, what they did, what the storyline was, but I still know that I loved the film. So I might need you to help me out on some details of the films that we mentioned.
We'll remind each other, I think, because there are probably a lot of details you noticed that I didn't, that we can remind each other about.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. It'll be fine. But I want to start at the beginning. I was wondering where your interest in cinema started, or like cinema and TV.
It was. I mean, it came to me quite late. I mean, I sort of I was just like growing up pretty much. I just like anyone else. I just wait until there was a film that came out that I liked and would watch it, or through word of mouth, get recommended something and watch it. My mates would watch it. And so I wasn't really someone who went and searched out for my own sort of taste in film and TV as such. And so I kind of, my interest in it came via the acting side. So I kind of, it was something that I thought that I'd like to do as a profession. The journey for that is a little bit of a long one, but it wasn't so straightforward. It wasn't like a sort of a 10, 12-year-old kid saying, "Oh, I want to be an actor. I want to be." That didn't happen for me at all. I came to it very late and did other jobs. So my sort of interest in film and TV sort of expanded from when I decided I wanted to sort of try acting, and then fortunately be able to get a few jobs, and then through that obviously had to think, I now need to sort of educate myself more in the industry that I'm in, because I felt quite actually a little bit behind the behind the wave. My knowledge wasn't very good at all. So then I started sort of look at different sort of genres, look at different films, and start to sort of watch more, read more plays for theatre and stuff, and actually just educate myself quite late on in life, in the sense, probably when I was about 26, 27 years old.
Right.
So when I say I came to the whole industry and the whole idea of enjoyment of film and TV and theatre, it was very late. It was very, very, very late. And so I still feel like I'm catching up. I still feel like I have quite a small sort of knowledge of the industry. So every day I'm sort of learning more stuff and trying to get sort of more involved. I mean, was it different for you? Did you sort of like at a young age growing up really sort of get into it quickly?
Yeah, I watched Hot Fuzz, the Edgar
Wright. Yeah, man, good film.
Way too young of an age. So I think I was 8 or 9, and it intrigued me so much that I was like, oh, this is what I want to do in life. Like, not especially writing or something, but I wanted to work in film, and I didn't know what was possible back then. So I was like, I just want to make stuff. And so it's still my favorite movie of all time because of that reason. And
it is very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of going back there when when I guess Simon Pegg, when he sort of moved into the film world and sort of started to sort of make his name in that sort of medium. But I did a film. I think it's called Another Mother's Son, and they used the same location, and that was in Hot Fuzz. So it was just a little thing that I really liked. Was I was
Yeah.
doing a scene in the sort of the town, the high street, which was also shown in Hot Fuzz. I forget the scene, but there's there's an old man who has a trench coat who just walks really slowly in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Does he have a gun under his? I don't know what he was. I forget what he does. It's a long time ago.
I think it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think he looks very suspicious and
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
don't we need to talk to that guy or find out what his deal is?
Yeah.
Nick Frost is like, nah, he's just that guy. It's just a creep. It's something we're used to. And then at the end of the movie, with the big final battle, I think he has a bunch of guns under that coat.
Is that what I'm thinking of, the guns? Okay, so he does. Yeah, it was. He always looked very suspicious. That's right. You remember him well. The way he was walking, that was when I was doing a scene on this other film, and I just kept thinking of Hot Fuzz. I was happy to be walking along the same pavement as a scene from Hot Fuzz, because it's a great film. It's a lot of fun.
I think I'd like to visit the town someday, because I guess it was all shot in the same town. It looks like it.
I can't remember now. I think was it Wells? I can't remember. It could be.
It was called Sanford in the film, but I'm not sure what the location.
Yeah, I think it was. But yeah, the great film. So you actually, so you quite young were affected by a film and thought, this is something I want to keep involved in and maybe working at a young age. Oh, I wish I had that. All I wanted to do when I was that age was I wanted to play for West Ham. That was it. I was sort of, I wasn't a good footballer. I just thought, I'll play for West Ham and that'll be it. I didn't think about sort of film or TV when I was younger, but.
Yeah, those were the people I grew up with, like people who wanted to play for Antwerp, or no, Antwerp wasn't good in that period of time. For like Anderlecht or other famous Belgian football teams.
Yeah,
but I think that's a thing we have in common as countries. Like in our culture, football is so important.
It is. Yeah, it's hard to avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you said you came to it at a later age. But did that change the way you viewed certain movies or TV shows, or rewatched some things that you were like, I'm seeing this in a entirely different way now?
Just in a way of really genuinely sort of noticing interesting shots, interesting sort of cinematography, but also just really watching good performances. I think it's great. Cinema is just about sitting down and enjoying what you see, and to overthink it is a bad idea. Just go and have fun, enjoy it. It's a release. It's escapism. It's whatever you want it to be. It's as long as you don't sort of annoy the other people, who are also trying to find their own sort of enjoyment of the film. But so I would do that. But when I sort of suddenly moved into sort of acting, then I was looking very closely individually at specifically sort of the acting and why I enjoyed certain people's performances over another, and probably slightly sort of ruining the enjoyment of the film by doing that, because when you start deconstructing it, you're not actually watching really what's sort of going on. But I felt it very useful just to kind of like wonder why I like this performance over another performance, and it kind of, most of the time it came down to just the effortless nature of some performances. It was as if people weren't trying. So it was that kind of thing where whenever I could almost see the process, I could see the actors sort of going through their craft. Poof, then that always used to slightly, I go, I can see your act. It's very good, but I can see your acting. And others, it just seems really effortlessly brilliant. And it still has the same amount of effort, possibly more, to make it look like, it's just very, very, very easy and comfortable to view. So yeah, that sort of stuff, I started to sort of think, oh wow, well, why I don't. It's you got to do the preparation and you got to work hard, but ultimately it's got to try and look effortless. I guess, and you could turn that from any job, any profession. You want to try and make your you want to try and make your profession, your job, your career look kind of easy, like it's no problem at all. But that sort of, to get into that stage of someone looking that way, takes a hell of a lot of time and effort and skill and stuff to sort of get there. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question, but that was sort of
no, absolutely. No, I think it's like it reminds me of like editing. When people notice the way you edit a movie or a TV show, then you're not doing a great job, because the whole purpose of editing is making scenes and the entire movie or the entire project seamless. And when you start noticing it, then it's pulls you out of the story, and that's not what you want when you're making something like that. But I never thought about that with actors, because like with the experience I have, like very, very little experience, it's just like I think they are doing a good job or they are doing a bad job conveying this character. But what you said, like people who you notice that are acting, like you notice some mannerisms they manufactured or something, that also gets you out of the story, and I never looked at it that way. So I think that's very interesting, like the way you look at it.
Yeah, I think it sort of you shouldn't be asking the audience to do too much effort. I think if they've invested the time and money to watch something, whether it's live or recorded, then they shouldn't have to feel like they're working hard to enjoy them. And so
absolutely,
some performances are harder to watch than others, is kind of I guess what I'm saying. But it's a team effort in that sense, by way of making that performance come across for the audience. As you know, there's lots of people involved in making that a smooth transition. But yeah, so I'm watching basically. Yeah, so I'm watching a load more films and sort of bits of TV post 27-year-old me as pre 27-year-old me, or at least some more sort of credible ones rather than the junk that I used to watch. But
no, but like junk, it's I think it's very maybe it's the wrong word, but like condescending for some stuff, because like some people are like, that's my guilty pleasure, and then like if it gives you pleasure, then it shouldn't be a guilty pleasure. I think it's like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
sometimes something can be like objectively not well made, but if you're having fun with it, then you're having fun with it, then you're enjoying the movie, and it's a job. So I like, especially with genre films, some people are like quite condescending towards like horror or comedies and stuff, but those things are so difficult to make that and to effectively scare someone or effectively trying to make someone laugh, I think it's much harder than making someone cry.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, I mean, less so in the theatre, because you rehearse it and you sort of, you know what you've got, and then you send it out there. But if you're constantly sort of trying to tweak it on set, trying to find that comedy moment, you're doing it again and again, and you're sort of nudging it, and then it's it's not so easy to sort of completely believe that what you've just seen on live on set is going to magically create the same sort of thing in the editing suite. But yeah, it's a good point. I think I don't watch much horror. I sort of, if I'm honest, I like psychological drama. But stuff that just is there to make me jump, I've never massively enjoyed that. So, but having said that, I haven't been to a film that does that for a long time. For all I know, I go and watch one, and it's absolutely brilliant. And it's scared the life out of me. And I don't want to discount the sort of horror genre completely until I've gone back and watched a few more things.
Like prestige horror and like horror films that are more structured like dramas. But in the meantime, they're very scary because it's structured like a drama. Like the drama is also scary. It's like Hereditary came out.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it hits the perfect balance between it's enormously scary, but it's also you're feeling for the characters. You don't want them to die. It's a horrible situation they're in. Also, the movie you were in, His House. Also,
God, yeah, that was a great film. That's nice of you to say that I was in it. If anyone's listening to this, don't watch it to try and see me, because I am literally in it for like a couple of seconds, so I was really happy to be asked to just sort of do a little bit. I forget actually who was the director. It's a really lovely guy.
I'll look it up.
Was it Remy?
Yeah, I thought it was very well directed. So
it's brilliant.
I've got it here. You're credited as a churchman. So
yeah, that's right. No, I was a bit of a
for Andy, dear listeners. Then you can look for churchman. Remy Weeks.
Remy Weeks, that's it. He's actually, if anyone, check out his other. He did like an amazing short film. Again, I can't remember the name of it, but it was obvious in a similar style to some of these sort of extreme sort of visual stuff that was in sort of His House.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you watched His House, yeah? You see, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, I really liked it, and it was pretty scary, but like the fear came from the social drama. I thought it was like I really like it when the scary stuff is directly linked with the theme of something, which is like refugees and losing a house and losing a home and then trying to make a new one, and all of the existential horrors that are paired with that. So I really enjoy those kind of movies that have a really clear theme that gets conveyed by not only dialogue but also like scares and horror, and they I thought it was really creative.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I'm with you on that. So so I could classify that as a horror then, can I? So I could put that as something that I watched. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I can say that I like horror because I do like His House. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. No, that's. I wonder what his next job is, next film, because I know he had to wait for years to do. Remy he was on hold for such a long time.
Yeah.
His House that they had to find a new production, a new producer because of some issues which I won't go into, but there was so he couldn't get released. I know they couldn't get released from this producer's clutches, and he wouldn't let it go, even though he knew he couldn't make it. So it was so eventually he released it, and they could make it. So I'm pleased it turned out so well. No, it's really, really cool.
Then I also wanted to ask, is there a singular moment that got you into acting? Like, what was the turning point for you when you were 26, 27 years old?
Do you know? No, it's just I was going to regret not trying it, was the truth, because I was up until 26. I was just doing regular jobs and as like a salesman, and I got a degree as a landscape architect. So I was going to be a golf course architect when I was younger. That was the plan, and none of these things were particularly really what I was massively interested in. It was just that thing of having to choose something as you're going on in life.
And you have skill probably, so you it was something you could do, like an option that was open.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. And so yeah, I had this. I kind of had this little from about 18 or 17, 18. I had this sort of little feeling that I might want to try acting, but it was just with my upbringing in the school I went to and my sort of friendship group and all that sort of stuff. The idea of being in acting or in the TV or film industry at all was it just was never there. It was never put forward as an option. There's no one there to suggest it, and so I never sort of pursued it. But you know, when I got to about 20, 26 or so, I'd done these sort of jobs, and I just kept thinking, what is this acting thing? I hadn't done any of it. I would quite like to sort of maybe try it, but I don't really know what it is. Don't really know how to do it. And so I quit my job, and so I went away to South America for like 10 months just to sort of travel around South America. And it sounds a bit wanky, but just to generally try and get my head in order as to whether I am going to just continue trying to be a bloody golf course designer or sort of try this acting thing from the starting point of absolute zero knowledge. And I came back from South America thinking, well, okay, I'll basically take the savings that I had and chuck it at a drama school, do the audition and try and get into a drama school. And if it works out, great. If not, then I've tried it. And I'll go and do something else. So that was pretty much it at about 20. So I sort of came back from South America and auditioned for a few drama schools, got offered a couple of places, went to one, did the whole drama school thing.
So nice.
And literally, at that point, it wasn't very straightforward drama school. I had some real ups and downs. So there's times when I thought, oh, I'm all right here. And other times when I thought, God, I'm really shit. This is terrible. And you look around at your peers and you see other people who are really good and you go, oh no, they're really great. There's no way I can be as good as that. So why should I even try? When you see really good people around you. But yeah, long and short of it was I enjoyed it enough, and I felt there was enough there to sort of step out of drama school into the industry and try and get some jobs, which was really hard. That's like, it's about a year and a half out of drama school before I got a job. And so it was, it's not easy. But I was really happy that I tried to, I would have really, what's the word? I can't think of the word. If I hadn't tried acting, I would have really been upset with myself. So just the action of trying it was enough. If I didn't go anywhere, I would have done something else. So in that sense, I'm not hooked into acting like, oh, it's the be all, it's the end all. It's given me enough so far for me to continue, and I'm sort of grateful for that. And so I'm 20 odd years down the line, something like that. Something like that.
I think your age doesn't matter, but I was like making calculations in my head, like how
it's about that.
Somewhat 20 years, I think. But what I was wondering is, when you were in drama school, were there any people in your class or in your year that we might know, like who also got successful acting careers afterwards?
Well, I mean, in my year, there's only a couple of us who are still acting. So literally probably about 4 or 5 of us. Some have gone into producing or being an agent and so other areas of the industry, but there's probably only 4 or 5. Well, I mean, one of the guys who joined us on Professor T in the 3rd series, he was. Did you meet Jack Ashton? Does that name ring a bell?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna looking up.
He was. He owned the car. Were you there for the car dealership?
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah,
He's the boxer. He's
he was
the
also
middleweight boxer.
in the prison, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He did some prison time as well in the show.
yeah.
No, so Jack, yeah, who joined us on Professor T this
Mm,
year. He's done really, really well. Had sort of a long, I think it's 5 seasons in Called the Midwife, which is a very popular
yeah,
show in the UK.
I very much.
Probably the most popular kind of long-running sort of show at the moment.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, he's done some interesting stuff, and it's good that he came on to Professor T to sort of join us. So yeah, but we didn't have any. The drama school we went to was just a regular drama school, so there's no
Yeah,
like sort of crazy sort of like massive sort of names flying
yeah.
around
Not
in
like
the
Juilliard
history of the
or
place.
something in
Yeah,
the US.
yeah, but we had some really good people. The year that we had were very talented and really nice, and we're all still in touch. Pretty much all of us are still in touch with each
Ah,
other, which is good.
nice.
So uh, so so yeah, it's kind of cool. It was an enjoyable time. It was weird though. Some people, I personally didn't particularly think, having gone to drama school, it didn't really work for me in that sense. So I
Mm.
really liked the people there who I was with in my year, but I didn't the training
Yeah,
side of I didn't really enjoy the classes so much, and
yeah.
so
I can
I,
imagine.
I, I sort of I don't know how you feel, because I think I learned better on the job,
Yeah.
rather than in a classroom. So is that similar to you, sort of the way that you've sort of studied and progressed?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot at school because I graduated last year and I spent 4 years at a film school in Brussels, not Ritz, where all the directors come from, but it's
Yeah,
called Rafi. It's the oldest film school in Belgium, but that's about the only bragging rights we have. Uh,
it's a good one.
yeah, absolutely. And it was really fun. I met a lot of amazing people there. I also learned a lot. Like my yeah, how do you call that? My final exam. We had to make a short film. I did that with a partner, and we made like a homage to Italian genre cinema the from the 70s. So like
Ah, brilliant.
I'm
How
not sure if
cool.
you know those directors, but like Lucio Fulci, Dario Argento, like those people, stuff they made, we made like a little homage. Um,
Brilliant.
so
Were you happy with what you did? Was it
yeah,
something you're quite, yeah, when you're quite proud
yeah,
of when
we're quite proud of it, but that doesn't mean we would do it. We wouldn't do it entirely
yeah,
differently right now because like we're a year further, and even when we were editing, we were like, oh, we should have done that differently on set, and we should have done that differently. So I think I learned the most there. But
yeah,
that's also it's not in a classroom. It's like making something with people
yeah.
you like and people you trust. So yeah, that was nice. But
I suppose it's
I'm
interesting what you're saying there. When you said it's making something, that was the thing you enjoyed. That's kind of what I'd agree with. I
mhm,
didn't particularly like the theory and the research and the note
yeah,
making of the acting drama school sort of environment, but the making of, when we were on
yeah,
our feet trying to create something, that's when I enjoyed it.
mhm,
So it's yeah, if that's similar to what you're saying, it's the sort of
yeah,
the time when you're actually making something is where I learned the most, for sure. I learned, where I was strongest and weakest
mhm,
in that kind of sense. So it was more valuable to me than just being told what good acting is, or read this book as to what you need to do. It's like, I just want to stand up with some words, and
yeah,
I'll try and make it
yeah,
interesting,
yeah,
believable. But I'm not a very big thinker. I don't have a huge sort of intellect of an academic sort of mind, so I
yeah.
kind of need to keep things pretty simple, to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the case in all of the arts. You can learn all the theory you like, or like if you want to be a screenwriter, you can read all of those books they have written about screenwriting, but that kind of all say the same thing.
yeah,
But if you've never actually written anything, you're not a better writer for it. Like knowing all of those things. Or like, yeah, filmmaker. I think like if you're in painting school or something, you want to be a painter. Yeah, you're not really gonna learn anything in theoretical classes, but when you start painting, you'll discover what's difficult or what's easy or what you want to create. So
Yeah.
I think that's the case in all of the arts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone has their own process, don't they? And so it's a good thing that that's the way. It's you just got to make sure that if you are in an educational teaching environment, that each person's individual sort of process and way of getting there is helped along. It's you know, and respected in that sort of sense. So some institutions say this is the way to do it, and that's where I have problems. And so as long as it's accepted that you're going to go at it in different ways, we're all aiming for a good end result when it comes down to it. So I don't really care how anyone gets there, as long as they've been nice, you know, in their process. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had a good time. Yeah,
absolutely. And
college.
also like working with the extras on Professor T was also like I learned so much about filmmaking, not especially with the extras, but because it's a pretty limited job. I mean, it's very important, but you have to be very quick. The extras also really can't distract the viewer from what's happening in front of this, like in the foreground, because they're all in the background. So they don't have to do the craziest stuff. But like just spending time with Conrad, the DOP, with Martin, with Wouter, the first AD, was I learned so much from it, because you see how such a big show for our standards gets made, and how efficiently they work, how their decision-making process is. So I learned so much by just being there, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I got paid, which was even better.
I mean, you did a great job, because, you know, whenever we were working with all the extras and supporting artists, they're all very present and all very keen and very interested and wanting to do a good job, which is not always the case, you know. In certainly here in the UK, it's, you know, you just want to get you just want to turn up and get paid, and they don't really want to necessarily perform or act, you know. That's not their thing. So it was noticeable. So you did a great job in helping us have an environment, a total environment to sort of feed off, instead of a dead face or something, you know. It was great.
But you also acted in a couple of video games. With like the first time I approached you, I told you were like, oh, I'm a big Dark Souls fan, and you played like 3 different characters in Dark Souls 1 and 2.
Yeah, you sort of caught me by surprise then, because it was not I don't get asked much about the sort of video games, and it was quite a long time ago I did Dark Souls 1 and 2.
Yeah, 2010. It's like
2010. Oh my God. So yeah, no, that was really nice of you to sort of mention that, because I don't do much sort of voicing of video games, but I remember enjoying Dark Souls a lot. I think was it Laurentius of the Swamp? Is that the sort of dude? Yeah, you might have to help me out here, because you've done a lot of gaming, right? And I don't. I have to tell anyone who's listening again, I don't play video games at all, and so my knowledge of the industry and the game is only voicing a few things, and I don't really play. I mean, Emma, who's on Professor T, Emma Naomi, who plays Lisa Donkers, she's a massive a gamer, as is her fiance. And so, yeah, you might want to get her on with regards to if there's anything specific, if there's anything sort of video game, like she's got great knowledge. And she decked up her apartments with like, when she was staying for shooting on Professor T, making sure that she had a massive TV with all the kit. And
Oh my
so,
God, that's amazing.
yeah, well,
Wow,
I think she
I
had all the
did not
kit.
expect that actually.
It's kind of cool. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's nice of you to mention it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed doing them.
yeah,
How did you get on with the game, I guess is the question. Did you manage to, it's a hard game, right? Dark
yeah,
Souls.
yeah. I
Did you
finished
manage
it.
to finish?
Took me quite a long time, but I was like, I think 14 or 15 years old, so I didn't have a lot of other stuff to do besides school. And yeah, I finished all of them. I think two I finished recently, because I replayed all of them for nostalgia's sake. But I
Cool.
wanted to ask, what's the difference between like acting for the screen and like voice acting in that way?
Um, it's, I mean, I find it completely different. I, I, I have, I mean, for me, they're two completely different industries, the voice industry
Yeah.
and sort of TV film. And so people who are good at voice are exceptional, and they are hugely talented in that area. Um, I can do a couple of things. A genuine, genuinely skilled voice artist is extraordinary, and that's what I noticed very quickly,
Mhm.
um, standing next to someone who is truly brilliant at that craft.
Mhm.
And it does take a lot of skill to do it
Yeah.
well. Um, and so huge respect for people who do that. Um, uh, and sort of my experience of, say, doing Dark Souls, um, obviously there's a lot of, you need a lot of stamina is the thing, because you'll
Yeah.
be, have you found that I mean, in the studio? Have you done voice work as well?
So
Is it
yeah,
something?
I once did a voice for like um an audio, like kind of an audio book for a school assignment of a friend, and she made me play like a historical figure because she was mastering in archaeology,
Oh
and she
wow.
had to make an audio play basically. So I did one voice and I edited it, but it was the first time I did that. So yeah, I thought it was very fun, but it was like right here we recorded it, and I
Okay.
when we record. Um,
Was it one session? How long did it take you to?
Yeah, one session, I think. It was a lot though. Like the story was like 20 minutes in total, and I had a few scenes of like, I think two scenes of 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of takes where I did a few things in different intonations and stuff. But the problem
Yeah.
was I did something and then I couldn't reproduce it
Yes. Yeah.
afterwards. And she was like, "I'll do that again." And then I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know how to do that again."
Did she play it back to you to try and repeat it
Um,
so you could hear what you did?
yeah, yeah, she did. So then it was easier, but still,
Still,
yeah,
yeah,
I
hard to do
think that's
exactly the same.
difficult. But I'm a very bad actor, so
No, I don't think that's true at all. I imagine you're brilliant. I think every actor thinks they're awful, and so it's like I'm sure you're great. But so you've had some experience of it. I mean, that's kind of cool because I
yeah,
think I was I just think, yeah, the stamina is amazing. So you're in the studio and you're
hmm
obviously normally you are, well, you're always stood up, and so you're trying to bring something to life within the sort of the space that you get, that you have to work in without creating exterior noise by way of moving your feet or whatever. And so it's a confined space to work in when you're trying to create something that's quite huge or interesting or whatever it is. And so when I mentioned stamina, it is, you've got to really, it's exhausting because you're
yeah,
coming in, at least I certainly found it exhausting because you're coming in and you're doing what they want. I mean, this is the thing,
yeah.
you're a bit of a hired gun in that sense.
hmm
And so you do have to deliver what they want, and then if you've got a good director there, then they'll let you expand on it, do your own thing, just for the hell of it. There might be something more interesting that we can glean. But number one, we need specifically what we want, and then we'll play. And you'll do one line. You'll do one line. I mean, 8, 10, 15 times.
Yeah.
And there's only when you, gosh, it's just exhausting. And so you get really sick of a line. You get really bored of it. You start hating the line because you just get a little note about coming along here. And so I would say I found it incredibly enjoyable because what I really, really liked, and it's really down to the director who did Dark Souls. It was Adam Chapman from, I think, Liquid Violet. Incredibly nice guy and very, very talented, skilled guy. And it was he let me play around as much as I wanted. And so I'd ask him, can we just run this? Just let me do the line. Don't stop me, and I'll do it 4 or 5 times, and I'll do them in any which way. They might be completely wrong. Can you just let me do them as I want to do them? And one might just suddenly seem better than another. But out of those 6 or 7 that I've just done straight off, there are going to be 3 or 4 of them that are awful. And that's the thing. You've got to accept in this game that you're going to actually act very badly to get some that are actually good, because you've taken the risk, you've explored something, and then you go, oh, I've taken a risk, I've explored something, and guess what? It's shit. So let's take a risk and explore something different. It's still shit. And then you do another. So it's kind of it's that kind of process within. I think within the sort of the voice world is to not get disheartened by just coming at it again with something different, something new, and give them as much variety as possible. Because with Dark Souls, I wasn't given a storyline. There was nothing for me to follow by way of
context.
No, and so it's just they have to have lots of different scenarios. I guess, like you've played the game, lots of different scenarios where Laurentius of the Great Swamp, where he has to deliver something given a different scenario. I don't know the lead up to it, and I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. But I have to try and believe that Laurentius is trying to be kind and helpful, or maybe he's a little bit nervous. He's not sure about the situation.
He's one of the kindest characters in that game because everything tries to kill you in Dark Souls, and Laurentius actually helps you, and especially my character. It's like you can choose a class, and then that class will be the play style you'll be playing the game in. And my class was a pyromancer, so Laurentius was my best friend, and he sold me the best spells and stuff. So I had quite a connection with Laurentius, and then I actually met Laurentius in real life afterwards.
That's really cool. The whole pyromancy thing, of course. Oh my God. It kind of brings it back. I'm so pleased you said that, because I mean the one thing I wanted him to be was a warm, kind person. I didn't want. There was nothing in there that I wanted of him that was confrontational. So that's good that came through. I wanted him to be liked in that sense. But I'm glad that came through. But again, you knowing how the editing process goes, it's I've thrown them lots of different versions of the same line, and they've chosen the ones that work for the situation when you're playing the game. And so I think it's 90% the editor's skill in picking the right thing to make you like the character that I voiced. So it's nice of you to sort of enjoy the voice that I did for Laurentius, but or the choices I made. It's kind of it's more, even more so down to sort of the editor's choice as to making that really work within the game. So I'm in the hands of their sort of skills. But I loved it. I'd love to have done more kind of things. I was quite pleased to sort of get asked to do what I was being told was the hardest game in the world or something to finish. That's what I was getting told. That's what everyone told me, was the hardest game, so that's why people like it. So I was quite privileged to think, oh, I'm part of the hardest game. But yeah,
you were a part of making it a little easier for the player, like the one thing in the world that did not try to kill them. But I was looking up like a compilation of all of your lines in Dark Souls 1.
Oh, go on then. What have you remembered any? Can you remember any of them?
I noticed the comments under the video, and I wrote 3 of them down because I thought they would make you very happy.
Okay.
Like the first one is, Laurentius is, no exaggeration, the most genuine voice acting performance I have ever heard in anything ever. I'm still like 93% sure he really was some cool old pyromancer that wandered in the studio by mistake and just started talking.
My God, that is nice. That is nice.
Then
I must have got lucky that day. Then when I walked in, I must have had an extra coffee when I did those lines. But, that's very sweet. That's very kind.
Yeah. There were like a lot of very kind reactions. Then Laurentius is like the most genuine bloke I've ever met in Dark Souls. You would totally buy him a drink.
That's nice.
That was funny too. And then I distinctly remember playing Dark Souls for the first time and hearing that line. I felt really uneasy about it. I felt more weight than I had ever felt before playing a video games. Part of it came from not quite understanding what he means and thus accepting an unknown burden, but also because of how Laurentius says it. But I think that also kind of reflects your experience, but because you didn't know the context of the story either.
No, I just needed to. I just wanted him to be authentic in the sense of as real as possible in that sense. So yeah. So there needed to be an intimacy there. So I tried not to push him too much. Was the kind of thing. So I'm glad that sort of came through. That he was nice to be around in that sort of sense. He was not non-threatening, I guess is sort of the word I'm looking for. I didn't want him to be threatening. So that's really. Oh, thanks for digging out those comments, mate. That's made me feel a lot better. I should try and do some more then. I should try and try and do some more voice work. I don't get any these days. It's terrible. Do you know what I mean? But that's really, really sweet. How many Dark Souls have there been? I should know. I'll be up to. There has been, okay.
Yeah, but like there are a lot of Souls likes, they're called, from the same company and also from other companies who try to replicate the structure of Dark Souls. And like have also like the same company did after Dark Souls 2, I think. They made Bloodborne, which is like kind of the same thing but faster, and it's in a more Victorian Lovecraftian worlds. Like,
did you like it?
Yeah, I think that's my favorite. I think because the storytelling and the vibe that game has is really impeccable. It was not something I had seen before. And then like Elden Ring that came out last year or 2 years ago. That was also really really great game because they made a huge world. Which you were dropped in, and then you just have to figure it out, and get killed millions of times because everything tries to kill you in the world. But that was also it was co-written by George R.R. Martin, that game.
Okay.
So they did really interesting things with that structure and the popularity. They didn't stagnate or something. They kept innovating, which is pretty nice.
Ah, that's really great. Do you think they're finished now with the main sort of Dark Souls things?
Yeah,
Finishing at 3, there's
I
nothing.
think so because like the story is very cyclical. It's like every game is about the downfall of a different kingdom, and there are like thousands of years between the games. So in the third one, it ends in a way that does not make a fourth one possible, I think. Maybe they can still do it and figure out a way to make the story work, but I think
Yeah.
this really is the end.
Well done on
Thanks.
completing Dark Souls. It's
That's the most
I hear that's a very impressive task. So
yeah,
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 well done.
it's a lot of frustration, especially. But to pivot to something else, I if you don't like to talk about it, I can absolutely cut this out. But I my favorite show of last year was Andor, and
Oh yeah.
you had a small role in Andor. Would you like to talk about your experience there, or
Well,
rather not?
it's a difficult one for me that to be honest, Bo, because I was sort of I'm not in it. This is it's a bit like his house. It's I wasn't in. Yeah, I wasn't in Andor, even though it
You're in
says
a
that I
lot of
was.
shots, but like you're in an area where like we spend a lot of time as a viewer, and
Yeah, I was like I just it was just one of the prisoners in the end. It was a difficult job for me. Just I don't mind talking. It's a slightly tricky job for me in the sense that there was it was meant to be a much bigger role, more significant role, and it turned out to be if you've seen Andor,
yeah.
a nothing role. I don't have any lines in it or anything like
Mhm.
that. So I'm effectively sort of an extra in it in many ways. So I spent a long time there. Yeah, 5 weeks at Pinewood, sort of,
Mhm.
working. But it didn't. Jobs sometimes turn that way. It was
Yeah.
meant to be something significant, but it ended up not being. So an interesting process being with Disney and on something like Star Wars, which is it's a bit of a bucket list thing. So that's kind of fascinating and great, and lots of genuinely really nice people,
Mhm.
sort of in the cast and crew. Um, but yeah, I feel like I haven't. Yeah, I feel like I haven't. Yeah, not. I still feel like I haven't done a Disney Star
Yeah.
Wars show yet because that
Mhm.
I'm not in it. I'm not in Andor. Although I watched it, I enjoyed it and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I thought it was good. I think they did a good job. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like professionally,
Yeah.
I still need to do a Star Wars and I still need to do a Disney
Yeah. Yeah.
show because
No,
that wasn't
I
one that
can
I was in.
imagine. Yeah, I can imagine like the kind of disillusionment when people promise you all kinds of stuff and then you arrive on set and it's like it's only this like the stuff you have to do. The camera's pretty far away from me all the time.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah. It it was what it was. But I mean, yeah, in this industry, you sort of one job's never the same as another, and so
mhm.
it's just a matter of getting the correct, I think, reassurances right at the beginning that
Yeah.
that the things that you're in are going to be in, and so on. It was just a little bit too open by way of what these 5 weeks were going to entail,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
needed and
Maybe they hadn't figured it out entirely for themselves.
yeah, I mean it's very true. So it's yeah, it's a tricky one, but yeah, I sort of have. It's a shame, but at the same time, I met some lovely people, so it was a useful and valuable sort of experience. Did you enjoy it, by the way? Did you
Yeah.
enjoy it? Are you like a
Yeah,
massive
it's
Star
my favorite.
Wars?
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, but that doesn't mean I can't be critical towards
yeah, I
Star
mean, tell us
Wars
the truth.
or
Tell us
films.
your honest feelings on it, because I know it.
Yeah, I it was my favorite show of last year because I thought The Mandalorian wasn't so good anymore. Book of Boba Fett was pretty shit, and
Right.
Obi-Wan was also very mediocre. So, but I read that Tony Gilroy was gonna do Andor, and I also didn't really think Cassian Andor was a character I wanted to watch a show about. But then I think the first 3 episodes launched on Disney Plus like in the first week.
Yeah.
And it's like the first story arc, so I loved it from the moment I started watching, because it was a real show again. It wasn't like, oh, look at this character and look at this character and there's all of the fan service. It was like a real show with real characters and with real stakes, and the characters felt very human to me. So yeah, it was my favorite show of that year. So I really enjoyed it. I think I've watched it 3 times by now.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, because I hear like, I mean, I saw Mandalorian and I quite enjoyed Mandalorian, the first series, and then less so after that.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one. But I'm pleased that Andor is being received a little bit sort of better. I know they're looking to sort of keep running it and keep it going for quite a number of seasons if they can. So hopefully that will just keep sort of giving a high standard of what you found in the first series. So it's fun. I think they were shooting it for like 12 months. It was a long haul. It was shot during COVID.
Yeah, I can imagine, because like the different locations, they actually built a lot of sets, which is also
the sets were unbelievable. I mean, I was only in the prison stuff.
Yeah,
sort of. And so walking into like the factory area and all that for the it was. Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
And everything that you would expect a sort of Star Wars kind of set to be. And I was only in that. We shot my bit was in the final block, so literally after it was the last sort of couple of months of shooting. So when we finished the block, when we finished. I was there on the final day of principal photography after the crew had been there for like sort of 12 months.
Damn.
And so it was nice to be right at the end and the conclusion. So I was right at the tail end of it when they were finishing it off. So
you're at the rap party.
God, no, there wasn't a rap party as such. But there was a bunch of the sort of cast and stuff went off and around at Pinewood. I can't remember the name of the pub, but there's a pub not that far from Pinewood Studios in the town next door, which I think they do a great trade in just having famous people roll in after days filming. And so if you ever want to see famous people, I think this pub's the place to be. But yeah, so we had a few drinks and stuff.
Nice.
But it's an incredible machine, that whole Disney Star Wars thing. I mean, it was the secrecy behind it is is amazing. It's a bit, if I'm honest, it's a bit much. You know, it's a bit,
I can imagine.
It's too much. You know, but yeah, there is such global interest that you can sort of understand why.
I think by having this conversation, you've already broken like 50 rules of your NDA you signed.
Probably. Do you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know.
Did you meet Andy Serkis on the show?
Andy Serkis, no, he was lovely, absolutely lovely. Yeah, I know actors say that about other actors, but he was really, really, really cool, very down to earth, and he looked after us in that sense, because it was sort of like even though I didn't do anything in the show, I was still classified as sort of the main supporting cast and stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like, there's about, I think, 10 of us who would be classified as the sort of main supporting cast and stuff.
All right.
So you basically had sort of, if you remember, like in the factory area, you had, was it the 6 tables?
Yeah.
And so you had the lead captain on each table.
Yeah.
There's one, so each had a lead captain. So there were 6 of us who would be part of the main supporting cast.
Okay.
Behind Circus. I was meant to be the lead dude in table 6 and stuff.
Right.
That's why I was classified as that. And then you had was it table 2 or 3 that had the main cast on it?
Yeah. I think so.
Is it 2? God, I can't remember the numbers.
Yeah.
So you had all of the people on that main table, plus the 6 table captains were the supporting cast to Andy Serkis being the prison. What was his title there? What was his role? It's not the prison. I can't remember now. He had a title, didn't he?
Me too.
But,
I always refer to him as just Andy Serkis, but yeah, what was his role?
it was really cool, but it was nice in the sense of answering your question. It was, even though I didn't have much to do, whenever we had like a meeting or had sort of rehearsal stuff, I was still part of that intimate group of
that's nice
10, 12 people who were trying to create something. And so that's when I would get to sort of be with Andy Serkis, talk to him if necessary, and so on. So I felt like I was, even though I didn't do much, I was still part of the creative process in that group of people. And he was everything you would expect him to be. He was just genuinely very, very nice, and he looked after us because we were in a lot of the sets were very big, and in the prison we had a lot of tubes in the sense that were CGI. So whether it was moving from the cell area to the factory area in those tubes where you could see the outside, it was quite hard to hear what the directions were, what was necessary. And you'd have a lot of extras and supporting artists there as well. So actually there's a lot of occasions when only a small proportion of people heard the instructions. Yeah. And they were ready to roll. Okay, let's go. Okay, quiet. Okay. And people would be murmuring, going, "What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know what to do." And then Andy would like sort of pick up on this, and he would just, he'd just shout across. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he'd literally just shout across to Toby, who was directing, or whoever was nearby, and he'd just shout, "Look, guys, only half of us know what the fuck we're meant to be doing. Can somebody tell the people at the other end of the tube what they're meant to be doing? Come on." So he would look after us in that sense. He wouldn't allow us to sort of go, okay, action, let's go, without the other half of the people understanding it. I mean, for number one, it wastes time if half people don't know what they're doing. But number two, he was just a genuinely nice guy who understood that not everyone could hear all of the instructions.
He actually did on set what he did on the show, basically, because
that's a good point, actually. He's very ferocious when he gets angry. It's for the character. I mean, it's a very very impressive thing. So there's so many nice people on that show. So they'll be pleased to hear that you enjoyed it. And
absolutely, if they hear this, because I don't have that many listeners. I am pretty under the surface.
It's always great though. It's always great to sort of hear that something's been well appreciated. And he doesn't. I know Andy doesn't take it for granted. He works incredibly hard. I can imagine what he does, and so he's quite hard on himself as well. He wants to get it right. He's sort of that kind of person. If he's not quite bang on perfect, then he will want to do it again. He'll want to do it again. So he's very impressive in that sense. Because it's normally quite a big reset, on Star Wars to do it again. Sometimes if you think it's okay, you might go, it's okay, let's move on. But he wouldn't let that happen if he felt there's more that he could do. So so have you seen a lot of his stuff? Have you followed his kind of...
I think almost everything, actually. No, not everything. He's done a lot, most of it. The Star Wars stuff, the Lord of the Rings, obviously, the Marvel stuff he did, the Planet of the Apes things he did, also really good. And then like the stuff he did when he wasn't that famous, like he played Ian Dury in Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll.
Oh God, yeah.
But it's very under that.
Yeah, he did. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that film?
Yeah, and
I
Ian
haven't
Dury
seen
is
it.
like a very
I'll
yeah,
have to
he's one
dig
of the
that out.
founders of the punk rock genre, and he died of
Yeah, of
polio
course.
in the 70s. Um, so
I'll
or
have
no,
to watch that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he's really good in that. Yeah,
he's really
he's
good in that. He's quite the character in that.
yeah, I can imagine. Well, he's never not quite a character. He's so good at his choices. There's always something interesting
Yeah.
with what he does. He's not afraid to take a risk, like sort of talking about earlier. He'll take a risk on things, and normally they come up they come up quite well for him, which is impressive. Well, I'm gonna have to write that down. I'll have to watch that film. I've
Yeah,
got so much that I still need to watch. It's going
yeah,
crazy.
same here. I've got a watch list of like 650 movies, and then there's also a lot of TV shows like The Wire and The Sopranos, which are also very
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Sopranos yet. How many? There's a lot to watch there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's like
You've got to really sit down and
7 seasons
ready
or
for it.
something. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, but that's a seminal series, isn't it?
Mhm.
That was a groundbreaking thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, at some point, it's yeah. Everyone has to do it, haven't they? They've got to
Mhm.
go and watch it.
Absolutely. Then I also wanted to ask you if there's like a distinct difference between a British set and how a British set operates, or a Flemish set, because like you also worked with another Flemish director in what's it called, The Alienist, first episode that
Oh
you're
my
in.
God.
Jacob Verbrugge directed.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job of picking the things that I'm not massively in, mate.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show, but I saw it on your IMDb and I
That's
was like, oh,
right.
that's perhaps interesting.
Yeah, no, he was great. I mean, that was yeah, just another tiny thing that I had. Uh, I mean, the truth is with The Alienist was, I mean, I was up for a bigger part that didn't come off,
Hmm.
um, which was a shame. Got close to it, and then they were adding some scenes that needed to be done right at the end. Um, so just some additional scenes to
Mm.
finish off, and there was a character that they needed, and so they kind of asked whether I'd do this guy, and I think my thinking was I kind of went. Normally, I wouldn't say yes for
Mm.
like just a little couple of lines, or and so
Yeah.
because I was hoping something like The Alienist. I was expecting it to continue to another series and another series. I thought it had the potential to be quite good, and so I didn't want to give up the opportunity of a bigger part by taking a small one. Is the thinking.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I'd tend to try and say no to something tiny in the hope that I could maybe get something more substantial down
Mhm.
the line. No guarantee, but just in
Yeah,
the
no,
hope
but
that
I
there's a
think
bigger
it's
thing.
quite smart actually.
Um, and so I asked, yeah, I heard that it might not go to a second series.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then it's kind of like, well, okay, if it's not going to go to another, I'll do it. I'll do this, I'll do the small part. And it's nice to be asked, and I'll help them out and so on. And so that's why I did that little part. I can't remember. Has it gone on to it? It has gone on to a second series, isn't it? Is
I
that
think
right?
so, but I don't think a third, because
Yeah, I
Netflix
think you're
tends
right.
to cancel shows when they get good. Um,
It's I think you're right. Yeah, they got one extra series out of it, so I kind of like, yeah, lost the opportunity to possibly do something bigger in the second series by taking this small part. But that was anyway. That's the reason why I ended up doing that. But your question to do with the director,
yeah.
and he was lovely. I mean, he was lovely. It was literally I'm on set for just half a day, and
Mhm.
he needed to get these scenes done, and it was oh, I always forget his name. The dude who played Nicky Lauder, the actor who was in the
Daniel
Aliens.
Brühl.
What's it? Say his name again?
Daniel Brühl.
That's it, Daniel Bruhl. He was so it was great to work with him in the scene. He was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it was
Um,
because I mean, like he's also become quite a big star now.
Oh, he's huge, isn't he? But rightly so. I mean, I think he's great. I mean, do
Yeah,
you
he's great.
kind of agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He was in I recently watched The King's Man, like the Kingsman
Yeah.
prequel with
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes and him. He plays like the right hand man of Lenin in that movie, which is very funny. And there's like a post credit scene where he's like, yes, he's in an evil organization. It's like almost a supervillain organization, but with historical figures. And it's like our left hand has become very strong with Lenin in Russia. So we need a even stronger right hand man. And like out of the shadows comes a dude with a little black mustache, and
Yeah.
he gives him a hand, and he's like, nice to meet you. My name is Adolf Hitler. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the last thing I saw him in. But he's also
Oh, he is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very versatile as well. It's kind of I think he takes he's yeah. I mean, he's incredibly professional. I just remember one time when he was again, it's similar to Andy Serkis in the sense that he's got people's back, the rest of the cast's back, no matter how big or small your part is. And for this scene, they did a last minute script change.
Yeah.
So we were in the trailer. There's us. There's a I forget her name. She was playing my wife in the scene. I can't remember her name. But anyway, we were in the trailers and we got a knock on the door and we got told of a script change. Literally, 10 minutes before traveling. It's like, really? Like that's crazy. So I was there with the Teresa. That's her name, with Teresa. Who was brilliant, and so we got the lines and went, oh God, we've got to try and learn this really quickly. It's just one scene, we don't want to fuck it up and all that sort of, you get that nerves of kind of like, we've only got to do one scene, just so we were there, and then Daniel came over. We hadn't met him yet. And so he came over to the trailers and he said, have you just seen the rewrite of the scene? Like that. I went, yeah, we've just got it. He goes, and he went furious. He goes, this is fucking out of order. This is bad. You cannot change the scene this late on. This is out of order. And he went, I hope he doesn't, I might be shooting myself in the foot here. I hope he doesn't mind me sort of saying, but
I would be very happy if both Andy Serkis and Daniel Brühl would be listening to this, but I don't think they will.
Well, I mean, if they are, and I hope they do, it's said in good faith, and it's said as a positive thing.
Yeah.
That they're wonderful at looking after the rest of the cast and the process that we go through, and he just went nuts, and spoke to the producers are there and said, you can't do this, you can't, because he had lines changed as well, it wasn't just us, so we all had lines that were different. You can't change this late on. What do you expect? Do you want to have a good scene or a shit scene? Because if you want a shit scene, guess what, change the lines 10 minutes before we shoot. If you want a good scene, change it at least the night before or whatever. If you can't. So he was this is the one time that I worked with him, and my experience of him was he was very, very protective of producing a good scene, and by doing that, if there's anything that was going to make that difficult, he spoke up, and he wasn't afraid to speak very, very bluntly to the people who made that decision at such a late point. So it's great that he had our back. So me and Teresa were like just watching him go, we're with him. We agree completely with what Daniel's saying. This is out of order. So he's a lovely. I hope you get to sort of meet him at some point, because I think you get on well. He's very nice.
That would be very cool.
Very skilled guy, and
let's see. Maybe this becomes a Joe Rogan podcast of niche film podcasts.
That would be great. I mean, I think it works definitely.
Yeah. Without like the right wing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. My God. But yeah, the director was great as well. He was, he was doing his job. He needed these scenes done, and he was very specific what he needed, and I think he was very sort of understanding of how of the lines changing, and so we found a middle ground with the lines that worked. And so, you know, he was as all the sort of Belgian directors or kind of production and sort of crew members that I've come up with, incredibly easy to work with. I don't know if that's is that normal? I mean,
I don't know. I don't have any experience working outside of Belgium. I have very little experience working inside of Belgium. But we think you guys are very easy to work with, because I have been on sets, but mostly like sets for short films where actors also don't really get paid much because we don't have the money for that. Like, actors are always nice, but I have noticed that they don't tend to mingle with like crew or something, or like they're very separated from us, and they I think like there are a lot of different actors with like different behavior on sets, but we do have a few actors in Belgium, not to name names, but we have quite a big ego, and you tend to feel that as a crew, and who are a little bit more difficult to work with. But like, especially you guys, like you, Ben, Emma, Barney, were amazing to work with for me personally, and like the entire crew was like boasting about you all the time, like, oh, they're such nice people, and they're so nice to work with, and so easy to work with.
Oh, that's very nice to hear.
We never got the feeling that you felt you're above us or something, and like in Belgium that sometimes tends to happen with actors.
Right. I think that's kind of that's a nice of you to say, but I mean, it's kind of we kind of picked that up from you guys, to be fair, because there doesn't seem to be a hierarchy within the way that you all work. So
there is
for any of us to come in and
there's still respect from like a director to like a location manager. It's like I could ask Martin something that like
exactly
really the intended chain of command, but I could, and he wouldn't like fire me for it or something.
That's it. That's nice. It's I think that's kind of the main thing. I think you'd feel very, certainly from the acting point of view, you'd feel very much an outsider if you suddenly came on to Professor T demanding things. You just have to look around and realize that no one is doing that, no matter whether they're the director or whoever. It's kind of like, so don't be the one person who is being just a bit of a prick, you know. Just join the general mood of everyone, which is kind of easygoing. But I guess that's it seems all the Belgian directors that I've worked for, it seems very similar in the sense that everyone seems very calm, and so I think must take from a Belgian personality point of view, maybe it takes a lot to get you angry or upset. It's a very, very steady calmness, and it's maybe I've got lucky with the Belgian directors that I've worked with, but it's a great trait. It's a wonderful thing.
I mean, I haven't worked with Dries yet, so I wouldn't know, but Martin was always very chill on set, and I think that's very nice for you guys.
Yeah, it makes things so much better. Because I've been on shoots where the director's shouting. It's been quite lively, and borderline abusive. Not right. In a sense. So it's not a guarantee that you know a set is going to be beautifully harmonious.
Absolutely. There's so much stuff that could go wrong, and like people who don't really...
I mean, I've lost your audio for a second.
There was I think there was a motorcycle passing by your house.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that Martin?
I don't know.
Or Conrad? Conrad had the big Harley, didn't he? Was it his bike?
Yeah, yeah.
He heard
Yeah.
his name and he thought, I'll go and have a look.
No, what was I saying? Huh. Yeah, no, that people, yeah, there's so much that can go wrong on a set, and like people who really can't work together or something. There's a lot of risks for a bad atmosphere, but we got very lucky, I think, with Professor T.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, it's good. Long may it continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, in the Alienist, you won't see me. You won't
No.
see me in it. I think you might hear my lines. I think I think my lines are still off camera, but I don't think I'm in it.
Yeah, but I'll recognize your voice because I have heard your voice quite a lot by now. So that's probably
sick of it. I think he's American. I think he's an American dude. So I'm not sure what kind of American accent I did, but
that's interesting.
So yeah, no, it was fun. It was, it was fun. I love the way you're. I have to really think hard of the projects that you're mentioning.
Yeah,
you're testing my memory.
It was like the ones I could connect to some of the things we were talking about and stuff. But let's go to the movies.
Yeah.
That we chose. Let's start with Whitnail&I.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this movie?
Why? I mean, it was probably the most important film of my youth in the sense of when I was growing up. So it's the one that I watched the most. It's the one that I quoted the most. It's the one that related the most in the sense of the comedy that it delivered. It was, yeah. I just think it's brilliant from start to finish. The soundtrack is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's a pretty low budget movie, and it didn't do well in the box office, so it lost money.
It looks very culty too. It looks very. It's very. It doesn't have a very clear plot. It's like it kind of meanders, but in a nice way. It's like it really reminded me of like Trainspotting for a different generation.
Good point. Yeah. No, that's a very good point. I mean, what are they like? Maybe how many years between Trainspotting and Whitnail&I? Maybe 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I think maybe perhaps 10. Because
is it 10 years maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 87 Whitnail&I, and Trainspotting is like 97 or 96. I think.
Okay. So yeah, because I think that's a very good connection. Yeah, there is something quite similar to them, with a great soundtrack and with sort of a tragedy behind the comedy. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it is a bit. I never thought about that. In many ways, I never really watch it for the storyline. In a sense, I know you're right that there isn't really much of a genuine sort of plot, start, middle, end.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's sort of
not every movie, not every film needs that. I think it's like it's perfectly fine to just like show characters in their daily life and not really have high stakes or have a big character evolution. It's just nice to spend time with some characters and have a laugh and feel what they're feeling.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of sort of breaking it down. It does sort of feel like there's a lot of individual sort of tableaus and moments that sort of stand alone as being funny or interesting, then another funny or interesting. They don't necessarily have to marry together perfectly, but that every time they spin to something different, it has its own merits. I'm amazed. I just loved it. I think it's just. I mean, obviously Richard E. Grant has done lots of amazing stuff. And continues
such different stuff. I really did not expect him to be this good in this kind of a role. Like
I think, go on.
Yeah, he has like I think what's this movie called? Is it Great Expect? No, it's not Great Expectations. It's a Scorsese film, period piece. Shit, I forgot the title. Um,
Is it a recent one?
yeah, it's also from the 90s, like mid
Oh,
90s, I think.
he was in a Scorsese film, was he, in the 90s?
Uh, yeah, I think it's a. Shit, I am completely blanking on the name.
So I
Ah,
would,
yeah, I'm not gonna find it right now, I think. But uh,
I'll try and look it up later. I might.
yeah, but like it's like a period drama based on a very famous book. It's at the tip of my tongue. It doesn't matter. Is it a lot of period pieces?
He
Um,
is.
he was in like the in Logan. He's always like a posh bad guy.
Yes.
It's all or like a posh good guy, but always like high class, very
Yeah.
very upper class. And in this film, he's like the bottom of the barrel. He's like the worst guy you can spend time with.
He's yeah. I mean, he is, but I mean, he's still coming from a posh
Yeah,
background.
yeah, absolutely. But
So
it's
hence,
just
going to
yeah,
see his uncle Monty,
yeah.
and talking about Eton and Cambridge and all this sort of stuff. So he comes from some money, but I think the money has gone. It's one of those things where you used to have money, but yeah, but they don't really go into that. You don't see his family. You don't know anything
So,
about his parents.
so
That's not.
only Richard Griffith, uh,
Yeah,
who is yeah the late Richard Griffith, uh,
yeah.
who
Did you
is
like him? We
yeah
we think he's great.
yeah absolutely. I obviously got to know him with the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, of course.
So he's like
Yes.
very iconic character for me, and like yeah, the role he played, like the gay uncle, was so intimidating. Uh,
He's very, very, yeah, yeah, it is. It's really scary. It's very, very, very creepy.
mm,
He does it very well. It's just the fingers. I just remember the sort of when he puts his fingers on your shoulder, and you just see these little fat fingers, and
yeah,
it's just so it's so
it's
awful.
disgusting.
So, ah, but I think from Richard, it's an interesting one because like Richard E. Grant, it was kind of, and he'd done stuff before that, but that was kind of like one of the first sort of performances where he showed how good an actor
Yeah,
he is. If you give him the right material, the right script you're talking about, and the sort of ability to really, really expand what he can do with the character. I
mm,
think you can see a lot of the stuff that he's done, which is like you mentioned, he's like the English baddie, the posh English baddie.
mm,
That shrinks his range. That
yeah,
is really, really so
yeah.
so narrow for
It's
him. He can do it
merely
well.
a facet of what he does.
Yeah. Um, so I just think that Whitnell from that point of view for Richard was extra special, and it was
Mhm.
interesting because he didn't drink, he didn't smoke or anything like that. So the whole idea of being an out of work actor who's drinking and smoking and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah,
he doesn't do any of that. So he doesn't have a recollection of being drunk, of being stoned, of being whacked at. It's all his imagination. He doesn't have
yeah,
a real reference point to pull on. And so I remember, I think one of the tricks that they did for him was, do you remember when he's, yeah, see, you watched it last night, didn't you?
yeah.
I haven't watched it for a while. But so you might need to help me here. But when I think they're in their flat in Camden, and Paul McGann, who plays in
Yeah,
it, I think he's washing up at the sink or whatever, and he's drinking something. It looks like soup, but it's coffee
yeah, yeah. He's like eating
uh,
coffee with a spoon.
yes, that sort of stuff. And I think it's the same moment where Richard E. Grant, he drinks something out of,
Yeah,
I think it's detergent or something.
I think so.
It's not to be drunk.
No.
and it was, and the director, to get a reaction from Richard, he filled that jug with strong vinegar, and
That's
didn't tell him.
disgusting.
So
Oh,
when he drinks
wow.
it and puts it, and go, and he does that kind of, have you got any more, and all that sort of stuff. I think he shouts, "Have you got any more?" and all
Yeah.
that. He's necked a load of vinegar just to get that which is
Yeah.
not when you don't really want to do that to an actor. Like it's not, you know, that might not be very nice. But
I did that to myself once, accidentally.
oh, did you? What was
Yeah,
that like?
I was a little kid, and there was like a spa, like a water bottle on the counter, and I came back from school, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so thirsty. There's a water bottle," but my mom had filled it with vinegar. I don't know why, but it was filled with vinegar. So I start chugging because it was a really hot day, and then
Ah,
like after half a second, this shit. This is not water. This is disgusting, and yeah, it came all out again. But I had already drank so much. It was really horrible.
man, you know what it feels like, so it is
Yeah.
very unpleasant.
Yeah, it is very unpleasant. If a director would do that to me, I would not be happy. Right,
I think at least you know that's the first take though, because they didn't do it again. So that was the
yeah,
first take. You didn't want to do it again.
yeah,
So
I can imagine.
uh, I think so. I'm glad you enjoyed the film because I sort of it's just one of those movies it's become a cult classic now. Everyone there's about 20 or 30 different lines from it that are iconic that people just shout to each other. And some are a little bit inappropriate now given the time frame and stuff, but um it's very tragic. It's one of those. It's hilarious, but ultimately, it's a very sad story.
Absolutely, but it's like it's the story is told in like a very light way. It's yeah, like it doesn't feel heavy or something. Like some things rationally are like, oh, this is a very shitty situation, but
Yeah,
the characters um never express that or something. They're all
yeah,
always like, oh, this is fine. We're just getting by, and you're
yeah,
following them. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It's like Trainspotting, which is kind of a comedy. While it's you see all kinds of
yeah.
very very awful stuff. And I
It's
also made me think of Naked with David Thewlis. If
God.
you
I haven't seen Naked. No, David Thewlis is fab. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't.
like one of his first roles. And it's just about his character coming back to London and wandering around and having little adventures, meeting people. It's also like Whitnail&I, but throughout the streets of London, I think.
Yeah,
Um, really good. It's like a friend of mine's favorite movie, and that's why I watched it. I was like, I never heard of it, and yeah, it's really good.
brilliant. Oh, I'll try and catch that one. Yeah, because if it's along the same lines, then I'll definitely enjoy it. Yeah, I was going to ask, did you like talking about the character? Did you like the character Danny who played the drug dealer? Do you
Uh,
remember
yeah, I
with the
thought it was.
Camberwell carrot and
Yeah,
the doll that shits itself?
yeah. Yeah, I did it. It's like he's in a few scenes in the beginning and in the end.
Yeah,
I think.
just a
Yeah,
little
like
cameo. He's not in it much, is he? But I
oh
think it's an interesting.
yeah, the guy next to him, he's like doing these weird sounds and singing in a really weird way, and then spinning a globe like a small
Yeah,
globe.
yeah,
Very
that's right. I forgot about him.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. There's someone who's completely spaced out in his. Yeah, of course.
yeah, it's really funny. He's like asking them to deal drugs all the time, um, which might have actually been the better decision for them to make. The two guys.
Yeah, yeah, you could be right. It's quite funny though. It's interesting, like the guy. What was the guy's? I wrote it down to try so I wouldn't forget. Oh yeah, Ralph Brown. Yeah, plays the Danny. And it's
Yeah,
interesting. If you see him in real life, he's a very very posh guy. And so I love the transformation of the actor into the character. He's completely different. You'd think he might be a little bit sort of London, a little bit dodgy or whatever, but he's a very, very posh, well-spoken guy. You know, and he just, it was absolutely fabulous. Oh, I love doing the part. It was fabulous. And he's playing Danny, the drug dealer. Just the difference is huge. You kind of go, what? You're not the same person. You can't be the same person. He does a great transformation into Danny. But everyone used to kind of, because the film's got that cult status in the UK, whenever, because he's got quite a distinctive face, and he'd be walking around, you know, the UK, and he'd always get stopped by people asking him to do the lines from his drug dealer thing. So he's kind of lived this life of always been asked to sort of repeat the lines of this Danny from Whitnail&I. Yeah. And he's done lots of other great stuff.
Have you ever worked with any of the actors who were in Whitnail&I?
I haven't. I was thinking that, and no, I would have loved to have. But no, I haven't worked with any of them. It would be great. I mean, obviously, it's, you know, Richard E. Grant. He's worked with Dries. You mentioned Dries Vos on Suspect, which was the first series of Suspect, wasn't he?
Right.
So the both of us are just one link away from Richard E. Grant. But no, I've not actually sort of met him. And Paul McGann, who plays I, you know, he's got a couple of brothers who are actors as well, and so, you know, they're sort of a bit of a family unit who have done some great work. And obviously, Richard Griffiths has done extraordinary stuff, History Boys and things. It's the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah. I found the title of the movie I was looking for, the Scorsese movie, The Age of Innocence from '93.
The Age of Innocence.
Yeah, it's really good. Very, very slow movie. But it's.
I remember the title of it. Yeah, definitely haven't seen it.
Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder. A lot of very good actors. And also Richard E. Grant in a small role.
And that was Scorsese directing that.
Yeah, it's really, really unlike Scorsese.
That's why I thought you might have got that wrong. It's kind of sort of, I couldn't imagine Richard being in a sort of in a Scorsese film, but and you've seen that, yeah? When was it?
But Cold War, to continue.
Yes, mate. Yeah, what did you think of that? You watched it again last night, yeah?
Yeah, I did. You also watch it again last night?
I didn't. No. I probably watched it last. Well, actually, it was during COVID. So you know, sometimes you had group mates who did movie nights just to sort of, because you were in lockdown. So yeah, that was my choice for a bunch of my mates who are into their movies to sort of watch. How
did you discover it?
Literally just from the Oscar nominations. I like to just sort of keep up to date with what are the international movies from the awards season. I often find they tend to be better films than the main ones. Certainly more interesting and more diverse. And so I quite enjoy just seeing what's been sort of suggested as being good around that season, and that was one of them. And I loved it. I thought I just thought, well, like we were talking earlier, kind of like it was. I just thought it was just beautifully put together, and I remember thinking though, like the first 10 to 15 minutes, I did remember thinking, what the hell am I watching here? With all the folk stuff in the village, with the singing that went on for a long time, right? And I thought if this is going to continue, then I'm going to walk out, is what I thought, because I can't handle that really, really off folk singing and noises for too long. So you felt the same way. The beginning was very kind of jarring. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy the beginning as such, but I thought it was shot beautifully, but I didn't like it.
No, there's also no real dialogue or something, or the
Yeah,
things
yeah,
characters
that's
say
right.
to each other are very short and you don't really have context. But like in
Yeah,
hindsight, that's amazing. Like the it really has a deserved place in the film, and I think it's a very clever and good first 10 minutes in hindsight. But when
yeah,
you start watching a film called Cold War and it's about people with a microphone like recording folk singers from
yeah,
the like the countryside. um that's kind of weird. Then you're like, it's cold, but where's the war? Like
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
and like where is the communism and all the stuff that the Cold War entailed. But then when they get to the school, then it's a little more coherent, and you start seeing where it's going, and then I was very invested.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. I think that you've sort of summed up the beginning really, really well. You do realize once you get into the film
Hmm.
why the start was like it was,
Yeah.
and it makes sense, and it was beautifully done. Um, and But yeah, I did sort of tell my mates, please don't switch off after nine
Yeah.
minutes because that you need to get through it, and then you realize why that's there, and then it continues to be beautiful. um and um yeah, yeah, it was extraordinary. I thought it was uh I don't know how to describe it. I just remember just every single sort of every sequence, every scene was just perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Just the length of it felt it
Yeah.
just cut at exactly the right
Yeah.
moment.
Exactly.
And
Like
then the
the end
next
of the
one.
scene, in the middle of like a note someone singing or something, cut away to like an entirely different scene. And
Yes.
yeah, it was so clever and so it's like effortless almost. Like it felt very um uh like it felt the entire movie was the way it should have been.
Yeah.
Everything. And I watched Stalker for the first time a while ago, with
Uh-huh.
like the Andrei Tarkovsky film from the 70s. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't, no. No,
It's
is that the same director?
no. It's no, it's from the 70s. Andrei Tarkovsky is like the biggest Russian director ever. He was like in that period of time, a lot of people compared him with Stanley Kubrick.
Oh,
Uh,
really? What was the
because
name of the film again? Remind me.
Stalker.
Stalker.
Yeah. And
Okay.
he also made Solaris, which was remade by the Ocean's 11 guy. What's his name? Um, yeah, I I don't remember his name, but it was remade by with George Clooney. I think beginning of the 2000s.
Okay.
It was called Solaris, so that's also a
I
Tarkovsky.
remember that. Yeah, I remember the film. I didn't see it either, but yeah, I remember it. I remember its release. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
like
worth seeing as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
absolutely. Tarkovsky cinema is very, very slow, but it's very deliberately shot, and it's like every frame of every movie he makes is you can hang it in your living room and it's a painting. It's like it's
Wow.
beautiful. And this film Cold War really reminded me of like a mix between Tarkovsky style and Damien Chazelle style from like
Right.
La La Land and Whiplash and Babylon and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like the
That's
perfect match.
interesting. Well, you've got much more references than I do as to why it may look the way that it does. So that's really interesting. Uh, I think I don't disagree with you at all. I sort of when you mentioned taking a piece and being able to sort of hang it on the wall,
Mm. Yeah,
I
this movie
I
has
remember
all
I
kinds.
forget the exact scene, but what was you might remember when he gets off the train and you've got the hills in the background. I
Yeah.
forget where he's arriving to. Uh,
I think it's isn't it? No. I thought it was when he returned to Poland and he gets arrested. because the no, but I don't think it's that moment.
There was a change in. There was like the whatever it is, the lighting, the filter, whatever. The change in was huge
Yeah,
in this sort of scene, and I just remember when it switched from the previous scene into that,
yeah,
and just thinking, God, that's beautiful.
yeah.
Without anything, having said anything, it was absolutely just beautiful
Hmm.
in its own right, and you could just press pause and go, oh, that's just lush. It's the most beautiful frame I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um,
Also,
and
like in the end, with the church, they return to get married, and then
yeah,
yeah, this is a spoiler. So if the
oh,
listener still wants to watch Cold War, maybe skip ahead 5 minutes or something.
yeah,
But yeah, what they do when they get married, and then when they go sit on the bench outside,
mm,
they tell each other, let's cross over to the other
yeah,
side. I think the view is better there. And
yeah,
like what that meant in the context of the film, because
yeah, yeah,
they die because they overdosed,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
That's
correct.
what happens, right? Because I wasn't entirely sure.
I took it that way, but I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get to see
No, they
as
just leave the
such.
bench, and the shots, like the camera stays on the bench, and it's like an empty bench for a few seconds, and the movie
It's
is
a
over.
beautiful ending. It is such
Ah,
a perfect ending. I think you're right. It is ambiguous in the sense of,
yeah,
and given what's happened before in their lives, you could argue that maybe not. Maybe
yeah,
they didn't. Maybe they didn't know. The assumption is that they did, and that would actually be the correct ending for that
mhm,
uh, traumatic kind of
yeah,
relationship. But I don't know. There's been a lot of trauma in it, so maybe it's just another little bump, and they do continue.
yeah,
Um, but again, another beautifully shot finish, and it didn't need
yeah.
anything more. And
Mhm.
it was just the same thing. Every scene I felt didn't need any more. It was given the space it needed, and then they moved on. And
Yeah,
there's not one point where I thought, oh come on, or I needed to know more. It gave me exactly what I needed every single moment. Uh, and I can't remember another film where I walked out the cinema feeling that way.
yeah.
Um,
I feel bad I watched it at home and not in a theater because yeah, it's kind of it's a movie you should watch in a cinema. I think.
I think it's maybe. I mean, it works. I think its beauty kind of works across,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of everywhere. It's. I was in a fairly empty sort of. I think it was just me
Mhm.
and one other person, so it was a very
Okay.
intimate sort of. It would feel a bit odd if it was a full cinema, and I'd probably lose bits of it if there was lots
Yeah.
of rustling and people moving around. So it needs to be in your own private space, I think, to
Mhm.
see it, so you can concentrate. And whether that's the cinema or at home, I I think it still reads well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. I wouldn't like say it was a worse experience or something, but I think I would have enjoyed it even more in a cinema because no distractions, only the screen. You get engulfed by it almost.
yeah, the great audio and stuff,
Yeah,
which would be nice, just sort of the
for the music.
very delicately done, which is yeah beautiful. I think yeah. What is you'll probably know. I always forget what is the size of the old framing that they use. What is the
I think it resembles 4:3, so it's
is
like
that yeah
16 by 9 is like a normal TV aspect ratio, and I
that's right
think that like the 4:3 is a little blockier. It's what TV looked like until like 2005 or something.
yeah.
It's more of like an old TV format where the screen was a little blockier
Yeah. And
instead of
did you think that worked? Did you kind of feel
yeah.
like you were missing something with it being
So I really
narrow?
thought that worked because afterwards, yeah, I don't know why. I wanted to rewatch a Marvel movie, Eternals, which I enjoyed when it came out.
Uh-huh.
Kit Harington and like pretty good British cast also. And I came from like one of the most beautiful movies I had ever seen to like a Marvel movie, and it's like a film where the aspect ratio in action scenes always switches to IMAX, and I think that's really looks very ugly on my TV. It looks like I'm playing a video game, and like with all the CGI and stuff. And
Right.
like I came from a movie where every choice was so intentional, and every like the choice of the aspect ratio was also very intentional. That it's like every frame is like a painting, and then you go to like a studio popcorn film with like
Yeah.
of CGI, and then it's like big aspect ratio, small aspect ratio, big again, small again, and like with every cut it switched, and it drove me nuts. I turned it off and I went to sleep. So
That's interesting. So yeah, if you're going to
yeah,
choose back-to-back films, they need to be
yeah,
in the right order for it to kind of.
yeah. It really normally that stuff doesn't really bother me, but because I just watched Cold War, and like my standard was very high. Yeah, Eternals was quite shit. So yeah, but that's an entirely different yeah, kind of cinema or something.
Yeah, I think it was, and I did love the performances in it. Is it like Joanna Kulig was amazing? It's I can't even imagine what you need to do to sort of do that role
Yeah,
from all the way through the sort of stages of what her character needed to do for that film. I thought
yeah,
she was
insane.
uh, extraordinarily good. And I hadn't heard of her before, and I didn't. I'm sure she's done some tremendous stuff
Hmm.
before and since. But it was so good. It was so nice just to see someone who I wasn't familiar with just being amazing. That's always a bit of a treat to sort
Yeah.
of find someone who's
Mhm.
just yeah proper
Yeah,
top end stuff.
she was in the Eddie. That's a show from Damien Chazelle, the guy who made La La Land and Whiplash and stuff. Um, and
So
she's
say
also
that again. So she was in. Say that
in
again.
the Eddie. It's like a show about jazz in Paris, which is funny because the Cold War is also about jazz in Paris.
Yes, yeah, of course. Okay.
So maybe it's like a little cameo or something. But
Oh right,
oh
so
no,
she was in that as well. She was
oh,
in.
she's the main character. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she's.
And so you've seen that film, or
It's a Netflix show, and I watched like the first episode, and it didn't really grab me, even though I really love the director. But it really didn't grab me the way I wanted it to. But I think I was also sick at that moment, so I never gave it a chance
okay,
again. Maybe it
yeah,
should do
that's
that.
that's a tricky one if you're not so well. What was the one that I watched? I watched a film and I wasn't very well, and what was it recently? I need to go back and watch it. Ah, that was it. That was uh, Asteroid City. That was
Ah,
what I.
did you like it?
Well, I've got to go back and I've got to watch it again because I
Mm,
was really tired and not, like you're saying, not very well. So I was kind of
yeah,
watching it and just not really finding it that funny. And I think it's because I just was, I was a bit tired and
yeah.
I just wasn't slightly bored by it. And yeah, so I need to go back and watch it again when I got full energy. And yeah, it's like I read all the reviews and stuff, so it's a decent film. So I'm the one who's wrong here. I need to go there with the
Yeah.
full,
But
my full,
you do need to be in a certain mindset to go watch to go enjoy a Wes Anderson film. I think
yeah,
like I can't always appreciate that kind of cinema. Like I really love the Grand Budapest Hotel,
yeah,
but like I didn't really enjoy some of his other movies, and Yeah, like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm always very happy that I've gone to watch it, even if I haven't totally enjoyed it, all
Yeah.
of it. So I'm always pleased to have had the experience. But yeah, you're right. You've got to be awake and
Yeah.
alert to read
Yeah.
to do a film justice. That's one I need to go back and catch again.
Uh,
Very colourful. I think that
yeah.
was it. I had
Yeah.
a headache and I was like, oh, it's a bit too colourful. It's too colourful. I mean, that's not a
So
way to
much
sort of.
better than all black and white.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah, they should have done that. Should have dug out Cold War. Yeah,
Yeah.
always a hit. But
All right. Then
uh,
we can go to our final little segment, very short. I've prepared 5 questions, and you can answer those questions with a film or a TV show.
a film or TV show. Okay.
Yeah. Like the first thing that pops into your mind.
Okay.
The most British film you have ever seen.
The most British film
Yeah.
that I've ever seen.
Whatever that means for you,
Uh,
in a lot of ways.
I would. The first film that came to mind was The Constant Gardener.
All right.
But that's no judgment on good film, bad film, whether I liked it or not. It was I just remember Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins doing
Yeah.
full posh English,
That's amazing.
and but that's very English as opposed to British can mean something different. But I think that was the first one to spring to mind. So it's a very old film.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's nice with Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins. I hadn't heard of it, so I'm gonna watch it.
Don't watch it. I don't think it's that great. Honestly, don't watch it. I think it won an Oscar. I didn't think it did really not an Oscar at that time. So but it was that horrible English thing that it's big stately home, lots of posh people having a posh life, and Kenneth Branagh's running around. It probably seems really shit now.
Okay, but no, maybe not. I think I'm gonna check it out. Those are 3 actors I like a lot. So
okay,
so, yeah.
I might have mistaken Kenneth Branagh. He might not have been in it, but I know he was married to Emma Thompson. So,
yeah, right. So, yeah,
definitely Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins great in it.
Yeah,
great in everything.
I recently watched a franchise I swore I would never rewatch again. Namely the Transformers franchise, and in the
well done. That's an effort.
Yeah. I really liked them as a kid, and then I grew out of them because they're really bad movies. But the last one, directed by Michael Bay, it was called Transformers: The Last Night, and I was like a little drunk. That I came back from a party, and I was like, I wanna put on a movie to fall asleep to, but like not a movie I have to think with or something. So I haven't seen the last Transformers film. I'm gonna put that on, and then like. The entire first 20 minutes is narrated by a character played by Anthony Hopkins, and he's like a huge character in the rest of the film, and he explodes and stuff, and he's like the most Michael Bay things happen to him, and I thought this man is having a great time doing this, and I really enjoyed it because of that. I was completely absorbed into the movie, maybe because of the state I was in also. I was like, I was missing 50 IQ points. They were lying around somewhere in the bar I left. But Hopkins was great. And he was having so much fun. It was so funny. So I was like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise. I'm not hating.
Wow, I'm amazed. I mean, he's such a beautiful voice. I mean, again, talking about like effortless actors.
Yeah,
people who make it look really easy. He's definitely one of them. So, I guess he's the same as us all. You know, he'll work for money. And all that sort of stuff. So he'll do a Transformers just for the paycheck, just as much as he'll do something. High quality. So we'll all work for the cash. In some ways.
Mm-hmm. Your what's your favorite film or show you have been in yourself?
Well, I mean, I guess I got to say Professor T, or else
Really?
I'll probably get sacked. So I should say that's been
Yeah.
a total joy, and I'd love to do more. So yeah,
Hmm.
Professor T on the TV sort of side of things. And film-wise, probably Journey's End is probably the film
Right.
that I found the most rewarding. So yeah, World War One,
Yeah.
trenches,
Ooh,
based
with
based based on the play. Yeah,
Whitney.
yeah. Paul Bettany and Asa Butterfield. He's a
Yeah.
big gamer, isn't he? Is he in? He's in the gaming community, right? He's
Yeah.
always
Right.
posting stuff about. Is that right? Have I got that
I
right?
think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's he's
I,
quite a he's quite an oracle on the subject, from what I gather.
yeah.
Uh, Lovely guy, Asa.
All
Really, really
right.
nice. Yeah, we had a good cast. Yeah, Sam
Yeah.
Claflin and Toby Jones, Stephen Graham, and so it was. Yeah, I think it was just um, because it had a poignancy to it. It was World War One, and it was done beautifully and very respectfully. Yeah, we had a great team. A fabulous
Mm.
director, Saul Dibb.
All right.
They did it just about right. Laurie Rose was the DP, and he shot it fabulously well. He's got to be one of the best DPs in the world. He's
All
just
right.
spectacular what he was doing, and very proud of Journey's End. I think it's a high. It didn't get a massive cinema release,
Mhm.
uh, but I I personally think it's one of the best British World War One films
All
ever
right.
made,
Cool.
and so
Yeah.
it came out just before Dunkirk. Do you remember when
Yeah.
Dunkirk? So it was slightly, everyone was waiting for Dunkirk,
Yeah.
being the big movie and all that stuff, and so we were slightly sort of. War fatigue. People were going to go and see a war film. They weren't going to go and see two. They were going to see one war film, and so it was
Yeah.
going to be Dunkirk. So we were fighting a little bit against them. But yeah, sorry, a long answer there. I think
Yeah. No, but it's
Journey's
very
End's cool.
interesting. Because Laurie Rose also did Kill List, which is also one of my favorite British movies.
Oh, cool.
It's do you know it? It's like a
I,
very low budget. Was it a mockumentary? I think so.
you could be right. I haven't seen it. No.
From Ben. What's his name? He made a Rebecca remake too. Mm, Ben. Ah, god damn it! I forgot. I'm gonna be able to tell you. Ben Wheatley. He made
Oh
that.
my God. Yeah, of course. Yes.
So
He
yeah,
did.
yeah, they work together a lot.
Was it on High Rise? Was he on High Rise with Ben Wheatley?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, yeah, yeah, I think they do a lot together.
I think.
Uh,
Oh yeah, he's done maybe. Yeah, he's done a few, hasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, good memory. Yeah, I forgot he'd
yeah,
done loads with Ben Wheatley. Fab films. Yeah, Ben Wheatley stuff is brilliant.
I've got IMDb open to quickly.
Have you?
No.
Well done. Well done. Cheating. But,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can remember directors and actors and stuff and some cinematographers and some writers, but not all of them.
yeah. So yeah, it was a joy working with him. You could see why he does the work he does. He's very, very, very good to have him just a few feet away, giving little
Yeah,
notes and stuff. He's often, this is the thing of all the crew that you work with, but it's always the DP who's the closest to you while you're acting.
yeah,
So it's that relationship is always much more important than I think people realize that they don't have to say much, but they're always the closest to you while you're trying to do your work. So like Conrad for Professor T was fabulous.
He also made notes sometimes, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was good, and it was nice. It was nice that he was. Yeah, it's good to have a DP who's involved in trying to get things perfect. But there's a way to do it. You know, there's a sort of, because they're so close to you. There's they're right in your social space, in your workspace, and so there's a good way of doing it. And someone like Conrad does it very well, and Laurie was brilliant as well, because you're in the trenches, you're in these narrow, mud-filled trenches. So it was a very claustrophobic environment that Laurie Rose had to work in, and he had the hardest job of anyone to try and work in those real trenches that we were working in, and try and get a great shot. I mean, it was a nightmare for him moving around. We just had to act, and he had to try and keep it in good order. But anyway, I'll let you crack on.
Your favorite film or show that's set in London?
Famous film or show that's set in London.
There's a lot of them.
I don't know.
Like, I think of Frenzy, I think Frenzy is in London.
Frenzy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Also really good. But yeah.
Oh God, I don't know, man.
Because it's
like, can I have a cop out and just say Whitnail&I again, because it starts in Camden. I know they don't end up. I know they only have about 20 minutes in Camden, but can I be boring and just go Whitnail&I and go back to that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Your favorite detective/police story? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a film or a TV series. I kind of catered the questions to you personally, because like you live in London, you're acting in a detective police.
Yeah, I should know. I should be able to give you quick answers to these. I'm not doing very well. Do you know what? This is going back years ago, but it's kind of like I still want to think of police detective type stuff. I still go back to Columbo, the American series, as being the way that things should be done. Because I still think that's beautifully done, and
the structure is like they show you how it happens in the beginning.
Yes.
Episode, and then they explain like the context around it and how it there's more information and who did it and stuff. But like who did it already, right? In the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, you're certainly given a big hint as to who it is.
It's like a new show with directed by showrun by Ryan Johnson, who made Knives Out and Star Wars: The Last Jedi. He showrun that with with Natasha Lyonne. She was like a big child star. She's a pretty famous actress. So they made like a kind of Columbo homage, like 10 episodes, and it's really good. It's called Poker Face. It's very recent.
Ah, cool. But it was done really well. It was
done really well. It's entirely same structure, but like the main character played by Natasha, she has like a superpower that's not really a superpower. She can always tell when people are lying to her. so that's
that's great. Well, I'll definitely make a note of that one. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, I think that was probably I always thought back when I was growing up, the best sort of cop shows were in America. The stuff that we were getting across from America. I didn't think that ours were a little bit too small scale and twee,
Yeah.
and it was always more interesting, the American cop shows that I remember. So, but I should really come up with something a little bit more recent. But
No, it's totally fine. Columbo is a classic, so yeah, you can choose whatever you want.
okay,
That
cool.
no, it's a great answer. I've never seen Columbo, so maybe an incentive to watch it for me. Um, but I think this is the show then. This is that's the end of the podcast.
Oh my God.
Because you were like, let's choose two films because I think it's gonna be like 15 minutes, and we have been recording for 2.5 hours.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah,
I'm getting hungry and thirsty, I think.
yeah, me too.
And actually, it's got a bit dark in here. I hope you can still see me. The light, I haven't put the lights on, so.
Yeah, but the sun has lowered a little bit. Yeah, it's yeah, 6:30 here now. It's
Yeah, well, like you were saying earlier, it's wet and grey here in London as well. So it's not a summer day in London either. So yeah, I should have turned some lights on. But
no, it's looking great. All right, then is there anything you would like to mention before you leave? The people, the things people can watch that we haven't talked about, or where can people follow you, or like things you want people to know. Put simply.
That's very kind of you. Yeah, there's nothing big. I mean, I don't really sort of do much social media, but as you know, I've got an Instagram and a sort of a Twitter account and stuff. So yeah, you can sort of it's just my name, so you can find me on those if you fancy. I don't post much though, so I'm not sure you'll get much out of me. I should get better at that. But yeah, that's kind of it, really. We've talked about Professor T, so that's sort of we're going to be doing some post production in the next 3 months. So hopefully we'll know in a few months' time when that'll come out, the third series. So that's something to sort of look out for, in the not too distant future. But other than that, it's like you, mate. It's a head down. Get stuck into some new work, find some new jobs, and keep the hustle going and things. So that's
Absolutely.
kind of where I'm up to. So yeah, I wish everyone, all your listeners and stuff, I wish them good luck, and I hope they're sort of if they're in the industry or not, I hope they're busy and doing some interesting stuff, and I wish them all great success, and I hope they're all doing very, very well.
All right.
Thank you very much for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Absolutely. It's been so fun. It's been a great conversation, I think. It's the best my first international guest could have went. Like I'm very happy.
Oh mate, you're very welcome. Yeah, I've loved it. No, it's been a lot of fun. So yeah.
So nice to see you again after work, because it's nice to like see people from the job out of that job context. It's really
definitely
fun.
Mate. Definitely, mate.
Right.
If you're ever in London, give us a shout, and I'll grab Barney and Emma and all the gang and stuff, and all that sort of stuff. We'll show you around town.
Yeah. Great. I think if the financial situation allows it, I'm gonna be there during the holidays, maybe. Because I love London. It's like my favorite city in the entire world, and I haven't been there for 3 or 4 years. So it's
oh mate, cool. Well, if you feel free, give us a shout if you're
I will. That's so nice.
Like you say, it's been great catching up, man. It's been absolutely superb.
Absolutely.
And good luck with the podcast. Get for the next 100 or so. Almost getting to 200. So yeah,
never gonna stop.
Fab. That's good news. Hey, all right then, man.
All right. Thanks, and
great to see you. Take care, buddy.
Yeah, have a nice evening.
You too.
All right.
Ciao, man.
Bye.
Take care.